Amazing images. The fabled Alpe d'Huez has blown many a Tour de France wide open. How will it impact this year's race? And I must say, before we get to the Alpe d'Huez, you can connect through social media and the Tour de France, SBS TDF, SBS Troll DJ, and the Sagwagon as well, with Sam Pang, Dave Colbert and Annabelle Drew. It's a great listen every day of the Tour de France. But the Alps, what can we expect? They're going up the Alpe d'Huez twice now. You've been up there?
Yep. Yeah, no, I rode it just recently, actually, a couple of months, in June, and it was gorgeous. But you just get a sense of just how hard Alpe d'Huez is and why it has the history and you know, so much passion around it, because it starts literally as a wall. You know, I think the first 2 kilometres are 10%, and it's such a rude way to start a climb. You just never get into a rhythm, and it'll sort out. It just sorts out immediately guys who can climb and guys who can't. And then after that, you know, you've got 21 switchbacks. So yeah, it's not fun if you don't ride a bike very much.
And everybody thinks that Chris Froome's made the winning move at Mont Ventoux, but twice up the Alpe d'Huez. If there's any weakness, you'll be found out, won't you, under that type of pressure?
Certainly will. And I think that Chris will go flat strap up the Alpe d'Huez the first time.
You were about to say something else, weren't you?
Yeah. Yes, not tonight, but he will go full gas up the first time. I think the pretenders will hang around him and see if they can hang on his wheel or try and get away before. But twice up there, once was enough for me, even though I had a great time up there. In the laughing group, which is not funny at all. You've got to be a mathematician to see whether you're going to make it in the time limit. That was always my experience. Had a great time going up Alpe d'Huez, pushing up a 93-kilogram Magnus Backstead. But that will be something special to see. I think that twice up the Alpe d'Huez, you get double your money's worth if you're a spectator, and not really so for the riders, unfortunately.
Interestingly as well, Bash, I mean, people often don't think you can actually. I think it's a common misconception that you can't, you know, get off Alpe d'Huez once you're at the top. You know, I think that's why people thought, it's only been used as a summit finish. But there's actually a couple of other ways you can get in. You can get in sort of off the route to the Col de Glandon, which is going to be the next stage, and also the one that they're going to is off the Col de Sirène, and that descent to the Col de Sirène is actually quite technical, quite hard, and I think it's been repaved recently, but even so, the surface isn't great. So, look, that descent actually could be as decisive as, well, maybe as decisive as that, you know, after that first climb. It'll really stretch it out.
And Simon, Chris Froome talked about his mentality up Ventoux, how important it was in getting over Quintana, who's obviously a lot younger and less experienced. But as a, you know, elite sports person, it's all about the approach, isn't it? And
absolutely. And like for Cadell, I reckon he's done his most courageous ride ever was when Galibier to track down the Schleck brothers, where they get chased and he had to lead the peloton to sort of get to the bottom of Alpe d'Huez and then get up there as fast as he did. And that was just like that mental toughness, and the competition from that guy was just incredible.
Well, let's look at some of the overlay of Alpe d'Huez, and we know that Tommy Voeckler was in yellow in 2011 when Pierre Rolland won the stage. And there's been some great moments, and some of the big riders at this year's tour have got big history on the passes of Alpe d'Huez, aren't they? Yeah,
Bash. I mean, that was the last time, 2011, and yeah, Rolland won the stage. It was, you know, that was a pretty good tour for France, really. You know, Tommy Voeckler in yellow for half of it. And you know, this was really the day that Evans sort of sealed the tour. He had to chase back, you know, Schleck and Contador had gotten away on the Galibier, and then after that, sort of the race closed down a bit, luckily, thanks to a headwind, and it all came back together, and then they were talking about it on their way up. But it's a climb that's really unforgiving, you know. You can't fluke going up Alpe d'Huez. Going up twice, the guy who wins, you know, is going to be, you know, a real champion, I think.
And we've got a medium stage followed by a time trial after the rest day. What can we expect? Is it a stage for opportunists and perhaps Green Edge can emerge?
Tomorrow's stage will certainly be someone, I think, for Simon Gerrans, Simon Clark, Michael Albacini in the Green Edge front. Those guys who are not quite there in the top 10, 15 on the climbs, I think they'll be given a little bit of a leeway. Sky will stay all together. Richie Port will be stuck on Froome's wheel and he's not going anywhere. There won't be any talk of him going up the road, not after what happened this week. No bloody way. So they'll let a nice 10, 12, 15-man group go and they'll just nice, quietly ride hard tempo up those climbs and you'll see who's going to win.
And we haven't mentioned Albacini. He went so close, didn't he, a few days ago?
Yeah, I mean, that's right, Bash. I mean, look, if he had won that, even not winning, I think, you've got to say that this is, as we said before, Bash, this has been a magnificent tour for Orica Green Edge, particularly in the context of last year where they got so close so many times. The team time trial, yellow, and yeah, as Hank said, tomorrow in Gap could be a real possibility. But even the days after, those are opportunist days as well. If Sky takes the foot off the gas a bit because they feel they've got the race under control,
and they will, yeah.
And the brakes could go away. And guys like Simon Clark, who obviously won the King of the Mountains at the Vuelta last year, they could really excel. Yeah. Bash, one quick thing, we did see some vision just before when Evans and Schleck were going up Alpe d'Huez and having a bit of a chat to each other. It actually occurred a couple of times yesterday, and you had Quintana and Froome having a bit of a chat. And what they're talking about here, I think, is I'll give you the stage if you sort of give me a bit of time on yellow. And that didn't quite work out. But, I mean, Hank...
I think Quintana was talking to Elvis, mate.
But, I mean, Hank, deals are quite commonplace in in these races. Often there's a bit of money involved, maybe some favours.
Maybe not that one there. I think Froome was pretty much saying, listen, I'm going to smash you. So ride, buddy.
Well, guys, thanks, Hank. It's been great to see you, Simon. Fantastic to get your perspective. Yeah. And Al, always a pleasure.
Thanks, Bash. Cheers.
And that's it from us tonight. It's been great to have your company. Our Tour de France live coverage continues on Tuesday night with Stage 16 from 10 p.m. on SBS 1. It's the final week of the tour. You won't want to miss a beat on SBS. Stage 19 is a brutal night of climbing. Al will love that one. SBS's live coverage starts at the earlier time of 9:30 p.m. Morning updates and daily highlights can be seen every day here on SBS 1. Check your local guides for details.